we have all paid so much attention to the state of the starting pitching, and for good reason. It's really hurting the team. It's the number one problem they have. The president of baseball operations once again assumed that rotation was going to be a lot better than it was. I don't know what it is about him where he can't see that in today's game where ground balls ain't going to do – getting a lot of ground balls ain't the way to go because there's more open space on the field because of the defensive restrictions with the shift. And you have to have strikeout power. You have to get swing and miss. You have to make sure that when you're in a tough spot, runners in scoring position, whatever it is, if you have 2 strikes on a hitter, you got to finish him off. And the way you do that is with power. You get him to swing. You get him to miss. You get him to strike out. And the Cardinals are not equipped for their modern times. Year after year after year, even though they talk about, well, we know that we really have to evolve, and it would be nice to add more strikeouts. We're aware of it. Well, okay, well, where is it then? I mean, I've been hearing this for years, and they still haven't evolved or adapted. They're getting left behind. That's why the rotation, well, it's a lack of talent for sure, and the inability to pitch enough innings from game to game, which puts a load of strain on everybody else, relievers, even the offense. You know, the Cardinals' ERA, their starting pitchers in the first 4 innings of a game is atrocious. That doesn't make it – I mean, your offense is kind of up and down anyway, but to expect them like every single night – well, it's not that much, but it's a lot to bail you out after they put your team in a hole. Man, but here we go again. Just never – you know, I actually hear people, in the media or other ways just, well, hey, look, man, their ground ball rate is great. Okay, so what value is it giving them? The answer is nada, except maybe you give them credit that leads to some ground ball double plays. You know, I get that. There is a time and a place and a moment in a game where you actually want a ground ball, but a lot of times, man, you're giving up ground balls. They're getting through more than they ever have, and you can't finish hitters off. You can't keep them in the ballpark because they're going deep on you. You're giving up a lot of home runs, the starting pitchers, because there's not enough swing and miss, not enough punch-outs. Cardinals are down near the bottom of the league in the majors in both of those things. So we know that that's a huge problem, and I wanted to restate some of the things. But the thing that's kind of borderline stunning to me, it's that until you actually look it up and you look at the numbers and you stare at it for a few minutes, you're like, wow. Every part of this team has deteriorated this year. So, in other words, when we justifiably complain and express frustration and quote stats on the starting rotation, all of that is completely justified because it's so important. Let's not forget how this team has slipped in other ways, because I don't want to say it's a collapse, but it's kind of looking like one, not just in terms of record. This is the worst record they've had since 1925 after 38 games. I can't even believe I'm like saying this stuff. I really can't. I know, right?
It is.
But, you know, we got to look at a couple other things with this. We can't just act like this is the only thing that's wrong. And I just can't get over, for example, how it's just kind of a systematic decline. And you look at the Cardinals. Here I go again. I got it. Here I go again. You look at the Cardinals, and right now, this is what I talk about, a systematic decline. Right now, they're 26th in the majors in runs per game. 4.45. Last year they were tied for fifth in the majors in runs per game. You go from 26th to 5th. I mean, you go from 5th to 26th.
Yep.
Offense has declined. Not even close to what it was last year. All right, what about run prevention? Last year the Cardinals were 9th best in the majors. They allowed 3.93 runs per game. This year they're 23rd. 5 runs per game. So this thing's been turned upside down. The Cardinals had a good offense last year, despite the Jeff Albert whiners complaining otherwise. And they really did a good job, as they really have been doing for a long time, at preventing runs. But now that's collapsing. They're 23rd. It's because of the bad starting pitching. It's also because of the defense, which I'm going to bring up now. Cardinals the last 3 years under Mike Schilt, then Ali Marmol, really, really strong defensively. Really, really good base running team. I was kind of startled a little bit today because I looked at Fielding Bible, and the Cardinals are now 17th in defensive run save. They're -2. And there are some other metrics out there, some other sites that have them ranked even worse than that. But the reason I used Fielding Bible defensive run save, because last year the Cardinals were 4th in the majors, saving runs defensively. Now they're 17th, and they're not saving runs. They're actually like a -2 or 3. They're costing their pitchers runs. So, okay, starting pitching, defense, run scoring, run prevention. The bullpen's okay. I cut the bullpens some slack because, pardon me, they're being put in a tough spot. And once again, the President of Baseball Operations has not really added much to that. And even the Drew Verhagen thing, which I thought actually was going to turn around, he's So I sort of give those guys some slack. And their bullpen has got a really high strikeout rate, and some other things they do well. But they're kind of middle of the pack. They can be better. I wouldn't call it a team strength, but I'm not going to dump on it too bad. So when I said it's systematic failure or decline, maybe I overstated that only because the bullpen's not an embarrassment like everything else is. And then if you look at their base running, I mean, one other thing about that, and I apologize. I mean, the Cardinals last season were 10th or 11th in defensive efficiency. This year they're 29th. And that is simply every ball that's put in play. Doesn't include home runs, obviously, because they're out of play. Every ball that's put into play, how many of those struck baseballs do you convert into outs? And the Cardinals are next to last in the majors at that. Last year they were just outside the top 10. Something's wrong, man. Ooh. Something's terribly wrong there. And then you look at base running. I mean, last year the Cardinals, in terms of taking extra bases, and that doesn't mean – it doesn't even count steals. It means simply you go from first to third. You go from second to home. You go from first to home, Or you move up on a ground ball, or you move up on a deep fly, In other words, you're pushing it. You're trying to get to the next base, and how many times, based on the opportunities do you have, how many of those times do you actually get that done? Where you move up on the base pass, you get that extra base as a runner. Well, last year the Cardinals were in the top 4 at about 46, 47%. This season they're 25th, 38%. So we're going to continue to put the emphasis on starting pitching. But just about everything else has really declined from last season. The bullpen may be the one exception, and that's only maybe. And I have to actually take a look at that. But that's the thing that it's so funny, Jim, because we talk so much, again, justifiably about this lousy starting pitching that we sort of forget how many other things are bad too. And that's on two. Listen, I do believe, there's some certain players not doing as well as they should. We know that. Now, Nolan Arenado, bless him, but obviously his season's been a disaster to this point offensively. And the confusion because of the roster that the President Baseball Operations put together, you have all these overloaded areas, and it's still, they're trying to sort out playing time. Heck, it's going to be Memorial Day soon, and they still don't know how to. Oh, man, who do I play now? Oh, I don't know. Oh, that guy hadn't had enough bats. I got to try to work him in. the outfield, other than Lars Nootbaar, is not worth much of a damn. And I think we've actually overpraised Dylan Carlson. He's had a nice little spurt where he's done okay, but let's not get carried away. And his defense is fine, and that's an advantage in center field. That's a plus. But again, I really mean this based on all the metrics I've seen. I think maybe we're overstating how good he is, but I'll take his defense. It's just remarkable to see how they have just gone way down in every area except with the possible exception of the bullpen. The players share in the responsibility. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. The starting pitchers, they get a free pass with the bosses. No, all the players share in the responsibility, whatever areas are weak on this team. But listen, they're mitigating factors as well, because we know the roster construction is terrible. We know the pitching rotation construction's terrible. We know they have an overload of outfielders. Now it's an overload of DHs, and the manager, can't figure out a way to sort of set a lineup. He's changing all the time, and he's trying to make this guy happy, trying to make that guy happy. Certainly the morale of the team has gone down. And listen, I would much prefer to talk about how great they are. I'd much prefer to say, hey, man, Steven Matz really showed what he's got this year. Hey, Flaherty, man, wow, that's pretty exciting. I'd like to be talking about that. I'd like to be talking about, Miles Michaelis being a horse and all that stuff. But I like to say, I can only work with the material that I've been provided with. And right now I've been provided with a Cardinals team that is tied for third for the worst start in franchise history. You got to go back to 1925. So what material do I have to work with, right? Now, other writers, I mentioned one earlier, they'll do the Schilt thing, which is like they'll tell you that you're really not seeing something that you just saw. This malarkey about the starting rotation improving, even though their ERA this month is 7.04 or 7.01, pardon me. So when you go to critique the Cardinals and the way it is, it's not just one thing that's going wrong. It's a lot of things. I mean, it's really a lot of things. And that's why, like yesterday I was talking. I said, hey, man, they got a long way to go, but if they can get on a roll, blah, 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 blah. Well, of course they can't, because they gave up 10 runs last night. But it's not just the starting pitching. When you look at how all these other areas have gone down in quality, the Central's not as good as it appeared to be in the first few weeks of the season. But unless we're talking about just an absolute dog show where everyone in the divisions, at some point is going to be struggling just to be at 500. Now, the Cardinals maybe make a move in that scenario, but I don't see how you can fix all of these problems, and they have a long list of problems, and that opinion is supported 100% by facts. Jim, what do you think?
There is, obviously, when we talked earlier, there's something goofy in the clubhouse, but
no doubt.
The basis of winning baseball, pitching and defense, right? Now, you can go to any team. You got to have pitching, you got to have defense, and, yeah, you're going to have timely runs. But as you just gave us numbers, I mean, we know this starting staff can't strike guys out. They can't. So that means you better be pretty good with defensive efficiency, right? And as you pointed out, they're 29th.
Yep.
There's no way you can fix that, because the only way you can fix it is catch the ball better. And we know that has not been with the numbers, but you can just wash it with your eyes. You go, well, they have not been nearly as good. I don't know why, but there was a couple weeks ago, I think it was last week, we saw, it was the last road trip, sorry. Tommy Edman made back-to-back errors on a night late in the game, and it cost them runs and opportunities. You're going, wait a minute. Tommy Edman's one-time Gold Glover. He shouldn't be making those blunders, but he is. That's part of those numbers of defensive efficiency. Newtbar has been pretty better, but when he was in center field, there was a play where he just flat out missed one out there in the outfield, cost him an opportunity one night. Just things like that. It seems to come up night in and night out, and it's proven by defensive efficiency. That number there, I mean, that's a damning number for this team right now. It really is. It just tells you everything you need to know. This has been a franchise that Mike Schilt, when he came in there, you got to give him credit.
Absolutely.
He cleaned it up. He cleaned up the base running. He cleaned up the defense. And it's been pretty good since then. This year, I don't know what's happened, but it has gone south, and it's gone south in a big way. When you're 29th in that category, then you go into the numbers of runs scored being down from 5 to 26. Well, there's no recipe for success in any of that. What it is the numbers tell you right there. That is where your disaster is. And it's as bad as we've ever seen. I know you keep throwing out the years, Bernie, but we're talking years, 100 years ago. It's been that long since it's been this bad. It's amazing that it is where it is right now. When you compare that to 100 years ago, oh, come on. Is it that bad? Oh, yeah. It's really that bad on a nightly basis. Everyone was so excited. A 3-game winning streak, like, oh, gee whiz. Well, then you have what you saw last night, and it's more of the same. And unfortunately, I kind of want to tell people it's going to be like that all year, I think. They just don't have the horses to go on a 15-13 win 13-15. I just don't see it right now with what they got out there.
Not unless they get really, really much more dependable starting pitching. I don't think they're going to. Now, look, if they can hang reasonably close, and then the one thing Mozeliak has been able to do, and just because I'm as mad, as frustrated as most of you are listening to this about Mo's culpability in this mess this year, he has done a good job, and I'm not saying this makes him, executive of the year, because it doesn't, because he had to go scramble for starting pitching. It doesn't mean that because you create your own mess instead of taking care of it proactively before the season, then you're left to scramble at the trade deadline, and it's probably going to be another year like that. But he's done a good job in terms of getting people in here to help at the trade deadline. I mean, it happened Lester, especially Lester. And then last year, of course, he hit the jackpot in terms of trade deadline pitching, starting pitching, with Montgomery and Quintana. And those two guys together had tremendous impact, and those two elevated that rotation for the final couple months of the season. It really did. That's a fact, not an opinion, because there was almost a transformation of that rotation. Still, not the big strikeouts, but those guys were just really good, and they were really consistent, and that's the key. So I almost laughed a little bit when you were talking, not laughing at you, because you were talking about, how bad it is and how far a lot of these things have gone down. And remember when I was talking a few minutes ago, I said, well, I'm not sure about the bullpen, because I try to give them the benefit of doubt a little bit,
right.
But here we go. Listen, this is a fancy pants stat. All you got to know, you got to trust your guy here. All you need to know is where they rank. It's win probability added. Simply, is this individual or is this part of a team? When this part of a team is asked to go into work and handle the job given to them, do they help you win, or are they a liability in terms of the quest for success? Do they hurt you or help you? Last season, the Cardinals bullpen was third best in the majors in terms of win probability added. They were pretty damn good in a lot of ways. I know we tend to remember the blow-ups, but look, you look at it 162 games, those guys were damn good. And I'm a big believer in win probability added, because just about every time I look at it, it reflects what I'm actually seeing with my own eyes and some other stats that I have to compare. So last year, the Cardinals bullpen was like third best in win probability added. Jim, I kid you not, as we talk today at 5 o'clock
yeah,
Central Standard Time, The Cardinals bullpen is 29th out of 30 teams in terms of win probability added. So they've gone from 3rd to 29th in that area.
Well, now
I mean,
nothing
my
to hang
goodness.
your head on now.
I mean, yeah. What tell me? I know. Like, you know, I don't know if I make some people mad, a fraction of people mad because they think I'm too critical of the Cardinals or whatever. That's fine, man. We're all entitled to our opinion. I don't get my feelings hurt if somebody criticizes me over that. But you just said it. If you're this team right now, to use Jimmy's phrase, what do you hang your hat on? Is it the offense? No, that's 26th in baseball for runs scored. Is it run prevention? No, that's whatever I said, 23rd or 24th in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
Is it defense? No. Defensive efficiency, they're 29th. They're next to last. Is it base running? No, they're way, way down. And they've also had they're second or third in terms of having the most runners thrown out. Is it the bullpen? No. So what? What is it then? I mean, seriously, I'm not sitting here trying to be Mr. Negative. I'm just saying, even if I was Pollyanna and I was trying to write stuff like, oh, the starting pitching recent performance is better. You know, even if I was doing that kind of stuff or looking for that kind of stuff, because it's totally false, of course. If I was looking to be Mr. Happy, how do you spin any of this stuff and say, well, you know, that part's good?
Oof.
Show me the section or the part of the team that's good. Is the manager good? Is the president of baseball operation doing a good job?
No.
Creating all these roster log jams and a horrible rotation again? Is the morale good? No. Are some of your like the big players supposed to carry you? Again, I love old Nolan Arenado, but it's just been amazing how things have gone for him in a bad way. Goldie's fine. So are your star players carrying you? Not really. One of them is.
Denny here from Friendly Sports Bar and Grill, South County at 3971 Bayless Avenue, right off of Highway 55 in Bayless. We have a wall of flat screens with all the sports packages. We have bar games galore, pool, darts, video games, or you can try your luck with one of our games of chance, Keno, Powerball, Missouri Scratchers. We have the lowest beer and bucket prices and the best pour on mixed drinks and shots anywhere. Serving up some of the best burgers and barbecue around. We'll see you at Friendly's.
Cam Jansen here. Meet the new kids on the block, Block Dispensary. They have 5 locations in Missouri, including Richmond Heights and Valley Park. At Block BLOC, their friendly staff specializes in customer experience and education to help you find exactly what's right for you. They make it easy to get your medical card through their partnership with LeafWell. Visit their website, blockdispensary.com, and use Block25 at checkout for $25 off your medical card. Follow them on Instagram at Meet Us at the Block. Our mission is to help people feel better. This is how we roll.
Tyler O'Neill, is this the year again? No, the answer is no. Dylan Carlson, it's kind of like, a little better. Jordan Walker, that's another Mozeliak mistake. Should never have brought him up to be part of the team from day one. He obviously needed work, but the Cardinals wanted to sell them tickets, and, here's our new face of the franchise. Last time I looked, and I love the kid, and he's going to be good unless they ruin him. He's hitting 176 in Memphis. I mean,
we may not see him at all this year at this rate.
This is just crazy because every box that you look to check, and please, someone on our text line, because if I'm missing something, I want to know it because I want to be accurate. I don't want to be oblivious to a positive that I'm overlooking, but tell me what it is. I mean, among individual players, sure, there's some positives, but that's not really kind of the context that I'm referring to. This is like sections of the team. Your starting pitching, your bullpen, your offense, your base running, your defense. Show me where any of that is any good.
I can't
or even average.
Well, average would be great, yeah.
But yeah, they're literally below average in every one of those areas, and in some of those areas, they're way below average, like bottom 5, 6 in the majors. I'm really stunned that this team is in this state right now. And, the manager's overwhelmed. He gets all curt with things, and he's too worried about what people are saying or writing on the outside. Mo, I think this is actually a good thing, so I'll praise him, believe it or not. He's actually gone into hiding, which is probably a good idea because he makes it worse every time he pontificates. And he tries to tell you that the starting pitching is not the problem, which he has said. Has said it within the last 2 weeks. That's not the reason why we're not winning games. Told that to my buddy Tom Ackerman at KMOX. So when you see the manager overwhelmed as he is, he's telling you, "Oh yeah, I see progress with the starting pitching," and then he's overpraising this guy, that guy, this guy, that guy, and seems to be very offended by any questions that concern the poor performance. You hear from the players, the manager, the president of baseball operation, you hear a lot of talk about, the pitch clock. All 30 teams have to deal with it. You're nothing special. You hear about how, I think we're having problems with these defensive shift limitations. 30 teams have to deal with the same thing. So why do you want to be given special treatment in terms of using that as an excuse? You can't. You're not allowed to. You can't. Because the same format, the same shifting, the same pitch clock stuff, all that applies to everyone equally. And if you don't have the baseball people down in the dugout who can get their team ready and more prepared to handle the pitch clock stuff or the defensive shift limitation, you don't have a good staff down there then. Why is it there's so many teams in major leagues have adapted to it fine? And I'm not saying it's supposed to be easy. It is difficult. But you knew about these things. It's not like they dropped it on you on like March the 1st. You knew about these things. So I don't want to hear about, the pitch clock. Don't want to hear about it. You didn't prepare your guys for it. If they're having a problem with it, that's your fault. I'm talking about the people that built the club and the people that manage the club and coach the club. That's your fault. Everybody's playing under the same rules. Defensive shifts. Shut up. Now, that's your fault, too, if you can't deal with that. Maybe you don't have your fielders positioned right, especially in the infield. Why has your defense declined as dramatically as it has? That's your fault. So what I was getting around to saying, I made the point already, but it's like, when you're trying to look for hope and you're trying to look like, okay, I think they can fix this up. Okay, I'd like to agree with you. But not when they fail to fix it. First of all, they didn't put it together right. Now they seem to have no clue about how to fix it. But then you start to hear the whining, the excuses. And you're like, well, wait a minute. Why should we have any confidence that they can fix anything? Because mostly of what we hear is they're in denial about how bad their starting pitching is. Complete denial. Or they're caterwauling. I like another word too, mewling. They're caterwauling and mewling about the defensive shifts. The pitch clock. Quit mewling. These rules weren't made to apply only to the Cardinals. All 30 teams got to deal with them. Nobody wants to hear about your problems. Or what did Alec Baldwin say to Jack Lemmon and Glengarry Ross?
I don't know all the lines in that one. Sorry.
Yeah, Alec. We need Ramsey.
Yes, we do.
Alec Baldwin turned to Jack Lemmon and he says, "Nobody wants to hear about your troubles."
That's right. That's
Yep.
Oh,
or something to that effect.
something to that effect. Yes.
Rammer, if you're listening, forgive me if I screwed that up. I think I was close enough. By the way, that high noon show is great. Listen, y'all need to jump on that 12 to 2. No, I'm sorry.
Oh,
forgive me. 12 to 3.
Yeah, now they're 12 to 3. They're doing great work.
Yeah, Lucas and Ramsey and Lucas. They're fun. It's a fun listen. Anyway, I'm sitting here and, I guess I'm rambling, but I really want to know. I'm trying to see as Jim Hewer said, what can we hang your hat on? Tell me where it is. I don't see it. I don't see anything. Not yet. Maybe if Arenado starts hitting, if the offense perks up, maybe if the manager can figure out what to do about putting the right players on the field in terms of offense, and quit waiting on certain people to come around who probably aren't going to come around. Neil, Alec Burleson. I mean, I could name others, but you all know what I'm saying. I want to know where we can put our hat, what we can hang it on. Because I don't see anything right now. Do you have confidence in the manager? Do you have confidence in the pitching coach? Do you have confidence in the third base coach? I would hope not. Do you have confidence in the hitting coach? I don't know. Wasn't the guy that all the whiners ran out of town? Well, if you all believe batting coaches matter, I think we all overrate them. I don't anymore. But if you think they really matter, well, the personification of evil on planet Earth, that would be Jeff Albert. He had the 5th best offense in baseball last year. Right now, 26th best.
Texter says, Bertie, the most positive trend from last year to this year is Paul DeYoung. Go find his batting coach.
There's a good one. Well, yeah, he's really a great story. And no, that's right. There are individual stories that are very positive. And yes, and I alluded to that, but I'm glad you mentioned Paul DeYoung. I mean, that's a good one. Listen, you're positive all the time about Goldie, even if he slumps a little. I'm positive, really positive about Nootbaar, who actually is now putting up really great numbers. DeYoung is absolutely a positive. Wilson Contreras was not allowed to be a positive, but their DH group overall is positive. That's one. The DH group ranks very high in the offensive categories. Well, they wouldn't rank very high in the defensive categories, but you know what I mean.
Yep.
Who else? I mean, are we as positive on Tommy Edman as we were? I'm not quite. I'm not there. But listen, he's not a liability.
No.
Brendan Donovan's a disappointment, but he still can do some things. I mean, I'm not saying, oh man, that guy's awful. Carl, we've all come to sort of overrate Carlson, even though I like some progress he's made. But you look at the big picture; it's not much there offensively. Not as much as we'd like.
Yes, that's 100% accurate. Yes.
And O'Neill is O'Neill. Like, where are some of the – I'm talking about the position players. Where are the positives?
Texter says, despite what front office says, Contreras' bat is actually a positive.
Well, it is. And the more he DHs, the better it'll be. He was a damn good DH as a Cub. He really was. I think he was something like 38% above average offensively as far as the fancy pants stats. He was really good as a DH. He hasn't been to that level yet, but he will. Guy hits a ball hard. He loves to hit. He loves the challenge. He's not easy to strike out. He draws walks. He's good. He'll be an asset. So, yeah, I don't know. Of course, Gorman has been a positive. See, that's what I mean. Sometimes you just overlook stuff. He's been a positive. Starting pitching, Jordan Montgomery. That's it.
Yeah.
Bullpen, Helsley, yeah. Gallegos, not so much, but yeah, overall he's a positive.
You know who's been better? Stratton.
Stratton's never been bad. Maybe his first couple outings as a Cardinal. This guy has got a rubber arm. You can give him the ball anytime, and he's good. And I remember, spring training. No, Stratton can't make this team. No, he can't. He can't make this team. What? He's been damn good because he's got a tough role, man. He does. It's like, dude, everybody's gassed. I need you to pitch 2 innings, even though I know you're tired too. That guy's a gem. He's a hidden gem. He doesn't get nearly enough credit as he deserves because of the context of what his job is. Zach Thompson was good. He was a positive, but they're doing something to make him a positive as a starting pitcher down the road. Whatever. Who else do we like in the bullpen? Cabrera. Cabrera's
good. His
good.
Turnaround has been very good.
Yeah. But I wouldn't get carried away by anything else. I mean, Palante's been a disappointment. He can salvage that. He can turn it around. But, man, there's just not a lot.
No,
I mean,
not enough, that's for sure.
And I'm looking for more, but I'm just saying, man, I don't want to overrate people and, just kind of, make it sound that somebody's doing better than they are. But the people that are doing well, man, pardon me, I'm really happy to praise them and give them attention, give them love. I am.
Texter says, Bernie, one thing you can hang your hat on is the great attendance at Busch. The Cardinals have been riding their baseball heaven, marketing and nostalgia for years. Let's see how much longer the attendance can keep up with baseball purgatory or baseball hell.
That's a great text. I thank you very much. I've been more active on Twitter lately. I've enjoyed it. A lot of good people, a lot of good conversations. I seem to get people to laugh with some of the questions they ask me, like some of the answers. Not laughing at them. No, they laugh because I'm, hopeless snark attacks,
It's all fine. That's good.
But I just don't see a lot of positives.
Bernie, I'm excited. I just got 4 tickets to Jack Flaherty's pacifier night next week.
No, he's got to write a book. He's just got to write a book, the Jack Flaherty Art of Pitching.
Yes.
What I was going to say to that text, I'm on Twitter a lot, and I think I frustrate people, even though they're nice about it. Because it's like, what can they do? I mean, what's going to prompt them to shake things up or be more aggressive or just do a better job or maybe make some big changes? Like what? And my answer's pretty much all the same. And I know Bill DeWitt. And I know what from covering his team a long time is that the one thing that absolutely makes him nervous is when he sees a lot of empty seats. And there was a time, and Jim, I think we're talking about 2019. Even though the Cardinals were making a push to get into the playoffs, which they did, of course, and they won the NLDS, beating the Braves in 5 games. And this is 2019. Mm-hmm. There were a lot of empty seats.
There was.
For that Brave series, there were a lot of empty seats in the NLCS. And I know the Cardinals got smoked in that, but the point is it's the NLCS. You're one step away from the World Series. And you could see pockets of empty seats.
That's unheard of.
Yeah, I mean, really. And I remember that we were trying to monitor as best we could the number of sold tickets where people just said, the hell with this, I'm not going out there.
Right.
Let me see if I can sell them. I'll take even below market price. I just get rid of them. That was going on leading into during a pretty long stretch where they were playing horrendous baseball, and Mike Matheny had alienated the players, and the morale was terrible. That was another year when we were talking about bad morale. The morale was not good. A lot of empty seats, some booing. I don't know that we remember properly just how kind of hostile a time that was. But people asked me then. I remember it so much, taking text messages at the station I used to work at, things like that. When is he going to fire Matheny? And my answer was always the same. When Mike Matheny, in Bill DeWitt's estimation, becomes bad for business, that's when you're going to see the firing. And it was 100% on the mark. And that still applies. Like after this year with the Waino Hero Tour, right?
Yep.
There aren't any others. That's it. I mean, there's no Cardinal legend who's retiring, and the season can be used to honor him and also have all these different promotions and everything else. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the point is, it's over after this year. It may not even be the same this year. And I hope it is for Wainwright because he's been a great Cardinal. But when the business starts to sour, when the tickets, it isn't so much as how many are sold, because they're always going to sell a lot because it's a great social night out. It really is. It's a fun time to be at the ballpark. Not everyone's like a diehard, I'm going to watch every pitch. No, people have fun out there. They should.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever the business side of it is impacted, and Bill DeWitt's got a lot of pride in the franchise, and it matters to him to see, not just for financial reasons, because again, people, when they're down on the Cardinals, they buy tickets, they just don't show up. And when he starts to see empty seats, it really, really bothers him. So
it should.
That's the best way I can lay it out. But I'm glad we got that text message.
Another text asked Bernie, or basically a comment here. I sure would like to know what really happened with Mike Maddox.
Oh, Bob Nightingale filled this in a couple weeks ago, and it's just what I thought. He was tired with interference. He was tired with having stuff crammed down his throat, with analytics. He was not opposed to them, but he just thought it was getting out of control where, even the key coaches didn't have much say about how we should do this or do that. And, if he was going to continue to coach, he just wanted to be in a better situation. Simple as that. Bob Nightingale knows him personally. So when Bob Nightingale tells us that on this station, on my show, absolutely, I believe it.
Yep.
That's why.
Like you said earlier, I made a promo out of it. That Maddox retirement didn't last very long.
I heard that. I laughed. No, seriously, you're Mike Maddox. You've been one of the more highly regarded pitching coaches of your time. And you have a chance to work for Bruce Bochy, a guy that sees the baseball world the way you do. Mike Maddox was never a dinosaur. Boch is not a dinosaur. However, there's a point in time when the people in the dugout have to really have a voice, and they have to have the authority to do what's right. They don't want to listen to analytics people. They don't want the general manager or whoever, president of baseball ops, constantly interfering, well, why did you do this? We would prefer if you do that. When you have guys that have won as much as they do, listen, they're dumb if they don't pay attention to analytics that can help them. But to have the stuff in your face all the time, Maddox is a pretty laid-back dude, very kind of a happy dude. He's like, I got to get out of here. And they put out a stupid, obviously bogus spin on it. Well, he just wants to take it easy for a while. Yeah, okay. Like 6 minutes later, and I'm exaggerating, 6 minutes later, Bochy hired him.
Boch is about winning. If you want to go play for him, you're going to win.
And he's winning.
Yes,
I can't wait to see the Cardinals out there playing that team.